attempted a Pokémon Nuzlocke challenge without ever catching any Pokémon. This sounds insane, but I tried it. Here's what happened. So, this is me, a man incapable of throwing Pokeballs, which I'm constantly teased about, as everyone calls me Can't Catch 'em. This is the source of my trauma. Thankfully, we don't have to catch our starter since it's just given to us, so we can actually get a Pokemon, and both of these are valid choices. No, not you, Frog. Let me know in the comments which starter you'd be choosing, but for me, I decided to take Scorbunny, a cute little rabbit who I named Thugs Bunny, the first member of my gang. But if our bunny faints at any time, it's dead, buried, and can never be used again. And we can't just grind it up to level 100 either, since we're capped at the level of the next gym. So, with these rules and no way of catching any extra Pokemon, basically, we are screwed. Anyway, after beating up our rival, Hop, we meet the Galar champion, Leon. And this guy is a jerk. He makes fun of my catching capabilities before rubbing it in by catching a Pokemon right in front of me. I hate this guy. The Pokemon around here seem easy to catch. Yeah? Not for me. After a short stroll through Route 2, we're faced with our first real battle of the challenge as we have to tackle Hop in a 3 versus 1. And while our one singular bunny is heavily outnumbered, there is one thing in our favor. Hop is garbage. So, thankfully, with an onslaught of embers, Thugs Bunny quickly burns his whole team to a crisp. Despite the beatdown, he continues to tease me, asking how many Pokemon I've caught. The same as the number of battles you've won in your entire career, Hop. L plus ratio plus Nepo baby.
Boom. Roasted.
Although, it is a problem that we only have one Pokemon, because right now, we're one mistake away from game over. But thankfully, that's about to change, because after a short train ride, we meet this charitable couple, and now we have an important choice to make. They'll give us an Eevee and a Pikachu, but under the Nuzlocke rules, we can only get one Pokemon per area. So, we need to decide which of these two we want to take. Normally, I'd say Eevee, but since these are special Pokemon who can't evolve, I'm taking Pikachu. So, now we were armed with our chubby electric mouse, and our team size had doubled. I charged into the wild area, and while we can't get any Pokemon here, we can find a bunch of useful items like the leftovers, new moves, and some berries. And after that, we arrive in Motorstoke, where Leon gives us a burnt piece of wood. Thanks, I guess. While in Motorstoke, we meet Team Yell, the overweight hooligans cosplaying as a rooster. Anyway, Scorbunny quickly double kicks their dark types to the Shadow Realm. And after the opening ceremony, our gym challenge can finally begin. Hop tries to stand in our way again, but Scorbunny annihilates him, with Thugs Bunny evolving into Raboot as a result. Oh, but where's Hop? Hop's in the dumpster, exactly where he belongs. Our team was starting to improve, but with only a fire and electric type, we just need to pray that we don't run into a ground type. But thankfully, this trainer doesn't actually have any ground moves, so we survive this horrifying encounter. Although, it does highlight that we have some crippling weaknesses. And this cave isn't done with us yet, because waiting for us at the exit is Bede, an arrogant trainer who thinks he's so good just because he can throw a Pokeball. I could do it too! Yeah? Show me. Fine. Feast your eyes on this. We're forced into a battle with Bede out of sheer embarrassment, and this is our first real hurdle of the challenge. He's got 3 psychic types, and we don't really have an answer for them. I send in Plot Armor, the Pikachu, and hit Solosis with an Uwu Nuzzle, leaving it paralyzed. Unfortunately, it still hits its confusion for big damage. However, thanks to the speed drop from Paralysis, our Electro Ball gets a power boost, crushing Solosis in one shot. Then against the Gothita that follows, we repeat the same process, with Electro Ball just falling short this time. However, we finally get some luck as Bede is fully paralyzed on the next turn. This gives Pikachu an opening to safely finish Gothita, bringing Bede down to his final Pokemon. Once again, Pikachu lands Nuzzle, but a confusion from Hatenna means that we're just one critical hit away from death. I desperately need to protect Pikachu at all costs, so I switch in Raboot, and Hatenna instantly lands a critical hit. We were seconds away from disaster there. Thanks to the deadly mix of leftovers, combined with Protect, our Raboot can just hang on long enough to land a barrage of quick attacks, finishing Hatenna, and finally giving us the win over Bede. After that insanely close win, we're viciously crushed by a rolling Wooloo before arriving in Turffield. Our first gym is here, but the leader is Milo, a grass-type user. So, Thugs Bunny pulled up, and this was a total drive-by. A Flame Charge immediately incinerates Gossifleur before 2 Flame Charges quickly take care of the giant Eldegoss. With Milo left in a blaze, we'd earned an easy first badge. However, However, the next gym is a totally different story. But before that, on the next route, yet another person takes pity on my pathetic catching skills and gives us a Toxel, who I named Boss Baby, our CEO of the Weak to Ground Types Corporation. Seriously, we are one earthquake away from catastrophe here. Regardless, we pressed on, soon arriving in the town of Holbury, and it's here that we meet the league chairman, Rose. Wow, chairman, you're so cool when you catch Pokemon. Your Pokeball throws are so cute. Actually, I hate this guy. Our next gym is also here, and this one is tricky. Nessa uses water types, so our Thugs Bunny is basically useless here. This means it's all up to our two electric types. So, after putting together a deadly plan, I stepped up to face Nessa. She leads with a Goldeen as I throw out the Boss Baby for its debut. Step 1 of my plan is to turn this Goldeen into a helpless little fishy. To do this, first we paralyze Goldeen with Nuzzle before spamming Tearful Look, which lowers both of our opponents' offensive stats. Now we can unleash our plot armor. With Goldeen doing pathetic damage, Pikachu is cleared to boost its speed with agility as well as its special attack with Nasty Plot. This turns our Pikachu into a monster, as now our Electro Balls are supercharged. And from here, it was a slaughter. Pikachu mercilessly crushed Goldeen as well as the Arrokuda that followed. Even Nessa's Dynamax Turtle was electrocuted instantly, giving Can't Catch Him his second badge. Ah, so you're the idiot who can't catch Pokemon. I hate you so much. Moving on, in the second Galar mine, Bede returns and I am worried. He's been our hardest challenge so far, and now he's got an even better team. He leads with Solosis, so I go with Pikachu and set up a Nasty Plot. But then I'm hit by Psyshock and it does enormous damage. We're already pinned as I can't survive another hit. So I just fire off an Electro Ball and thankfully it crushes Solosis. But then I tried the same move against Gothita and it barely survives. Our Pikachu is already weak and on the brink of death, as Bede fires off another Psyshock and Pikachu just survives. We're still in a tough spot, but since I know that Bede is going to heal, we safely set up an agility, and this makes a huge difference, as now a single Electro Ball can finish Gothita before we clean up Bede's final two Pokemon no problem. We may have gotten the win, but that battle was way too close, and the danger doesn't stop there, because after kicking Team Yell's Dark types, we exit the cave before returning to Motostoke, and this place horrifies me, because there are two battles here that are insanely deadly. The first of which is Marnie, who has some dangerous dark types, and honestly, this fight started really well, as Reboot was able to handle her first two Pokemon without taking too much damage. However, then Morpeko emerged. This rat is deadly. Unfortunately, our double kicks just fall short of finishing it off before Morpeko charges up a huge bite and Reboot just survives on 1 HP. That critical hit almost slayed our rabbit. I have to switch to avoid the incoming quick attack, making it a Pikachu vs Imposter Pikachu showdown. But thankfully, 2 quick attacks from our electric rat just gets the job done, finishing Marnie's final Pokemon. We'd been so close to death in our last few fights, and it felt like our luck was running out, especially when you realize that the next fight is against the third gym leader, Kabu. And I mean, just look at this stacked roster. His Pokemon are so powerful for this early in the game, while we have a fat rat. These three did not fill me with confidence, so I needed a new plan and headed for the Isle of Armor. Do you think you could catch this Slowpoke for me? Normally I could, since I'm so good at catching Pokemon and all, but right now I'm too busy playing our sponsor, Honkai Impact 3rd. This game has something for everyone. You've got stunning 3D action combat. You've got an open world to explore and get lost in, as well as a great storyline in which you'll lead your team of Valkyries, supported by some impressive voice acting and animation. From adventure to roguelike and fun minigames, there's always more content being added, like the brand new 7.2 update that just dropped, expanding the main story, adding new outfits, a cute new pinball minigame, and a new battlesuit for Fu Hua that looks incredibly cool. It's her strongest one yet, spicing up battles with authentic martial arts. This update is also the finale of Part 1, so it's the perfect time to start playing as the exciting launch of Part 2 approaches. To kickstart your adventure, new players can get the Hersher of Rebirth and the Hersher of Finality, 2 of the strongest characters, and by redeeming this code, you'll get a ton of extra bonuses to give you a boost. And the best part, you can download this game at no cost, and it's available on both mobile and PC. So download Honkai Impact 3rd by clicking my link in the description. You'll be supporting the channel and get to experience an awesome game. Once in the Isle of Armor, we meet this dude. He's the Diglett guy who can give us one of these amazing Pokemon, but I can only pick one under the rules of this challenge. So let me know who you would pick in the comments, but after yanking a bunch of these little Diglett out of the ground, I decided to choose Slowpoke. I name her Sumo, the immovable object. Now we finally have a water type, and it's even got an amazing ability. So with our upgraded roster assembled, we stepped into the 3rd gym. In this challenge, you'll have to catch Pokemon to earn points. I hate it here. For the first time in this challenge, we actually have more Pokemon than the gym leader, and under my rules, we can only bring an equal number to make it a fair fight. So I decided to throw our baby onto the bench, leaving us with this trio as we stormed into Kabu's gym. I lead with our brand new Slowpoke, and after being instantly burned by Ninetales, we land a Yawn, putting the fox to sleep on the following turn. This lets me safely bring in Pikachu, who now has the ability to surf. I quickly set up a nasty plot, however, Ninetales immediately wakes up, jeopardizing my whole plan. Except we finally get some luck as it misses Will-O-Wisp. This lets me land a very crucial second nasty plot, and while we are burned this time around, the damage is already done. A single superpowered surf wipes Ninetales off the map, and the Arcanine that follows suffers the exact same fate. In the face of Kabu's oversized centipede, we Gigantamax our Pikachu into this adorable, chubby behemoth before one last surf washes away Kabu's final Pokemon. That gives us a clean 3rd badge, and I was feeling great. Our Pikachu is a beast. Surely it'll live to see the end of this video, right? For now, a short ride brings us to Hammerlock, and oh god, not this guy again. Well, if it isn't, can't catch him. Okay, I refuse to be mocked by a man in bike shorts. We can't take on the Hammerlock gym until later, but we can get some great items, like a Focus Sash, as well as the TM for Thief. And this is important, because after having Pikachu cannibalize its own kind, including this Pikachu, who made a weird noise when we Thunderbolted it, eventually we thieve ourselves a Light Ball. This turns our weak, vanilla Pikachu into a Super Saiyan demigod, doubling its offensive power. And the upgrades don't stop there, as our boss baby finally evolves into an awesome Toxtricity. They grow up so fast. A short trek through Route 6 brings us to Stowonside, and after unleashing our newly improved team onto Hop, our next gym battle awaits. But this one is a problem. B has some insanely powerful fighting types, and we don't really have any way to deal with them. At least, not yet, because while we can't catch Pokemon, we can revive some dead ones. So, after digging up a fish fossil, as well as a Drake fossil in the wild area, we can resurrect Dracovish, a deadly water dragon who has no arms, so neither of us can throw Pokeballs. I name our new fish Pac-Man because his strong jaw is going to be chomping all over our enemies. And with Thug's Bunny evolving into its final, deadliest form, Cinderace, our team had really come together. We may still be just one bad fight away from losing the entire challenge, but I was proud of how far we'd come. So we stepped up to B, and it was time to unleash Dracovish. A single Psychic Fangs wipes out Hitmontop before 2 liquidations take care of Pangoro. Surfetch'd also gets chomped by our prehistoric demon, leaving B with only Machamp, which she Gigantamaxes into this terrifying thing. It deals out some big damage, but not enough, as 2 Max Mindstorms finish the fight, giving us a clean 4th badge. But Dracovish wasn't done yet, because he viciously crunched through Bede's entire roster of Psychic types, and Rose was not pleased. Bede, for that embarrassing performance, I sentence you to watching 50 hours of Pokemon Ultra Sun cutscenes. Oh god, anything but that, and you have to read all the dialogue too. No! While Bede was struggling, for me, business was booming. Our Slowpoke had evolved into its beefiest, chunkiest form, and we quickly reached Bologna, where, after picking up a Choice Scarf, we can immediately face off against the Fairy-type gym. But honestly, this fight is really straightforward, since our poisonous boss baby is the perfect counter. With a toxic barrage of attacks, we quickly cleaned up Opal, burying her 6 feet under, and quickly collected our 5th badge. After quickly moving through to Circhester City, here we find Hop, I've got to figure out what to put on my team once and for all. Must be nice, Hop. I literally have 5 Pokemon and don't get any choice. But at this point, our team was dominating. The Rock Gym of Circhester City was a complete demolition job, and the Dark-type Gym of Spikemouth was a similar story. While Pikachu had a really close call, ultimately this was another clean takedown, netting us badge number 7 in no time at all. However, this is where the good times end, because next is Raihan, and this is a deadly double battle against dragons. His Pokemon are powerful, and I am terrified of what comes next. Regardless, I assembled my best quartet as we charged into the ring, ready to face our toughest opponent yet. Raihan leads with a pair of Gigalith and Flygon, so I send in my 2 water types, hoping for some quick KOs. But Flygon moves first, hitting a breaking swipe that does big damage to Dracovish while also lowering my attack, which is disastrous. Thankfully, a quite-effective Ice Fang still cleans up Flygon, as a Scald from Slowbro also dishes out big damage to Gigalith. Raihan thinks he's playing OU singles, setting up a Stealth Rock before bringing in Sandaconda. Now, in an ideal world, I would KO both of these at the same time, giving us a 2v1 against his Gigantamax Duraludon. However, the attack drop from earlier means that a liquidation isn't enough to KO Sandaconda, letting it annoyingly paralyze my fish with Glare. Despite that, Slowbro does finish off the snake with Scald, before Sumo somehow manages to dodge a Rock Blast. I don't know how you can miss a target this big, but I'll take it. Anyway, this brings out Duraludon, and I'm in a terrible spot. Slowbro can't deal much damage, and Pac-Man is absolutely crippled, basically just a sitting duck at this point. I can't risk losing Dracovish, so send in our beloved Pikachu as Raihan charges up his G-Max special move, and no! Pikachu! Our reliable electric mouse, who had been with us for so long, had finally fallen. Our first casualty. And it won't be the last if we can't find a way to deal with this giant steel dragon. But before that, Slowbro finally finishes off Gigalith with a Max Geyser, leaving us in a 2v1. With Dracovish crippled, our only option is to send in Cinderace, who is pummeled by Stealth Rock. We're in such an awful spot, and it only gets worse as Raihan prepares to execute Cinderace with a super effective Max Rockfall, and we just hang on, surviving on only 3 HP. We're on the brink of death, but this is perfect, because Thugs Bunny whips out its trap card as counter deals double damage back to Raihan, slaying the giant dragon in just one shot. We had barely beaten Raihan and earned our final badge in an insane clutch. However, at what cost? We lost our mascot, our icon, our plot armor. Pikachu, rest in peace, buddy. Could I get some Fs in the chat for our fallen comrade? But through the pain, we have to press on, and only having 4 Pokemon puts us at serious risk. So it was time to get our final Pokemon. Back in the Isle of Armor, Mustard takes pity on my pathetic catching skills, offering us one of these 2 Kanto starters. We're all good for water types, so I pick up Bulbasaur, who I name Lettuce. And after quickly evolving into the Big Lettuce, now we had our final team. This group of disposed of, unwanted heroes are all we can rely on to conquer the rest of Pokemon Sword. Let's do this. We press on through the treacherous battles of Route 10, including Cappy Jeffrey, who I slap into the dirt, bringing us to the final city, Wyndon. Now we're in the endgame, a gauntlet of tough trainers with powerful teams of strong Pokemon. And with only 5 Pokemon left, we're just one bad battle away from our team falling apart. But the only way is forward. This is the Champions Cup. First is Marnie, and she makes a fatal mistake by using Swagger on Dracovish, leaving us confused while also boosting my attack. However, Pac-Man packed a berry to kill with a confusion. This leaves us with a free attack boost for Dracovish to then decimate the rest of her team no problem. Congratulations, Marnie, you played yourself. Next up is Hop, and while he may now have a beefy Snorlax, we have an even beefier Slowbro. After Sumo asserts its dominance, most of Hop's team crumble without much trouble, although it is important that Cinderace finishes his penultimate Pokemon, as this means that Thugs Bunny is in against the deadly Rillaboom. But we're glocked and loaded as a Max Flare melts down that monkey. With that, Hop had been defeated for the 95th time. And the winner is Can't Catch 'Em. Oh man, even the announcers are making fun of me now. Sir, is it true that you've never caught a Pokemon? Of course not. I've caught lots of them. Hundreds even. Can we see your Pokedex then? This interview is over. After a brief interruption by Rosa's dominatrix mummy, the next phase of the Champions Cup has us compete in a tournament against Galar's gym leaders. But before that, we're interrupted by Bede, who's hungry for revenge after we basically ended his entire career. Do you have any idea of my suffering? 50 hours of Ultra Sun cutscenes, they never end. But now, I'll finally get my revenge. Bede's team is a deadly combination of psychic fairies, which threatens to wipe most of our Pokemon. And let me tell you, this fight did not go to plan. His Mawile lead is the least threatening of his quartet, so I send in Venusaur and begin spamming Charm to nerf its attack, as well as Leech Seed for recovery. With Mawile now totally harmless, I slowly whittle it down, and before executing our setup, I decide to drain Bede's potion, and he doesn't use it? Bede just lets Mawile die, and this is a disaster. I needed to set up on Mawile, but now I've got a Gardevoir staring me down, ready to obliterate my team. And I am panicking. I use Leech Seed, for some reason, as Gardevoir sets up a Calm Mind, and this horrifies me. Out of ideas, I just hit a Seed Bomb for solid damage, ready to accept my fate, and Bede just uses Wish. This slice of absurd luck allows Venusaur to land one more Seed Bomb, finishing Gardevoir. But we're still not safe, as next in is Galarian Rapidash, who immediately cripples Venusaur with a big Psycho Cut. We respond with Charm to harshly lower its attack, but if Bede gets a critical hit, our Venusaur is dead. Regardless, I take the risk as Rapidash charges up another Psycho Cut, and we just hang on. This allows Venusaur to land a Leech Seed, which is huge. At this rate, we're still going to be decimated by Bede's Dynamax Hatterene, so we have no choice but to try and set up on Rapidash. So I bring in Cinderace, and thanks to Venusaur putting in an absolute shift, we recover back most of the damage that Rapidash can deal. This allows Cinderace to set up 2 workups, as well as a substitute before baton passing these to our boss baby, Toxtricity. Our substitute eats the incoming Psycho Cut before Bede's Pony is sent to the glue factory with Sludge Wave, and thanks to our workup boosts, a single max ooze from our toxic boss slays Hatterene in a single shot, and we had somehow clutched up. We easily could have wiped out to that boosted Gardevoir, and while I was relieved to survive, now I was horrified of the fight still to come. Thankfully, that fear doesn't include our next fight, as Nessa is about to feel a shock equal to that of sticking a fork into a power socket. Because Toxtricity runs wild here. By wrapping it in a fashionable Choice Scarf, we outspeed and electrocute every single one of Nessa's Pokemon in record time. Once her Dreadnought is fried to a crisp, we claim a quick win. And the next fight against B is a similar story, as Dracovish chomps through her entire roster with an onslaught of Psychic Fangs. And with that, only one gym leader remained. Raihan, the Pikachu Slayer himself. What's the matter, kid? Still not over your plot armor? Don't you dare say that name. Pathetic. Why don't you just go catch another one? I'll kill you! This was our shot at revenge, and there would be no mercy. The Dragon Master leads with Torkoal, for some reason, setting up the sun. So I have Dracovish immediately use Rain Dance to override it. This prevents Torkoal's Solar Beam from going off before a single liquidation drowns that turtle on the following turn. And Dracovish wasn't done yet. Our boy was about to go wild, as super effective Outrages mercilessly sweep through Raihan's next 3 Pokemon in a brutal beatdown. With our Lumberry curing our confusion, all that remained was Duraludon, the murderer who slayed our Pikachu in cold blood. This thing is dangerous. We both Dynamax our Pokemon as Dracovish lands a Max Wormwind, which does decent damage while also having the added effect of lowering Raihan's attack. And this is crucial, as it lets Pac-Man survive a G-Max depletion with enough HP to hit one more Max move on the following turn. After Raihan heals, we hit Duraludon with one last Max move as both of our Dynamaxes expire. But with Duraludon's attack nerfed, I can safely switch into Slowbro, the witness to Pikachu's demise. And in the ultimate act of revenge, our beefy bro body presses all over Duraludon, crushing it to pieces. With that, Raihan was crushed, and take that Raihan, how does it feel? With the Galarian gym leaders crushed, we stepped up to face Leon. Except, we're interrupted by Rose. I'm about to release a new line of bike shorts. My shortest ones yet. Dear God, we've got to stop him. Thankfully, Rose's steel types are absolutely no match for Thug's Bunny, as a vicious onslaught of flamethrowers and pyro balls completely decimate his entire roster, melting them down in no time at all. With the eyes of Galar spared from Rose's wrath, next, we had to contend with Eternatus. And let me ask you this. guess who would win? A legendary, poisonous dragon forged from the most destructive energy source known to man, or one singular beefy bro? Obviously, our sumo slapped that dragon around. Two psychics quickly take care of business, slaying the almighty dragon. This is it! Try to catch Eternatus now! Alright, here I go! Ugh! Why am I like this? Despite our failure, the day was saved, meaning that only one battle remained. Leon, the Galar champion, boasting 6 powerhouse Pokémon, as well as an impeccable catching ability. With only 5 team members, Pokémon that no one wanted and gladly gave away, this was our toughest match yet. Outnumbered and outmatched, this is the final battle. This is Leon. The champ opens up with Aegislash, so I send in the very Pokemon that Leon gave us. Immediately, I use Work Up to boost our offense, as Shadow Ball does big damage. But after munching on a citrus berry snack, a Pyro Ball from our Thug melts down our Steel opponent in one shot. It was down to an even 5-on-5, but next in is Haxorus, which is a Giga Threat. So Cinderace hits a quick U-turn, bringing in our Sumo, who can tank hits extremely well. After eating an outrage like an absolute king, one Ice Beam is all we need to finish off Leon's first dragon. But this brings out his second, Dragapult. I desperately don't want to take a Shadow Ball with Slowbro, so switch into Venusaur, eating a critical hit, which definitely would have killed Slowbro. After Venusaur lands a Leech Seed, we stall for a few turns with Protect, as well as Synthesis. And once Dragapult is low enough, our regenerated Slowbro returns, tanking a huge Shadow Ball before slaying yet another of Leon's dragons with Ice Beam. And now, we were in a commanding spot, as Mr. Rhyme has his entire career melted away by a drive-by Pyro Ball, and Big Lettuce annihilates Inteleon with some atomic seed bombs. I told you he was the worst starter. This leaves Leon with only his Charizard, who is immediately Gigantamaxed, and I can't take any risks here. So, sadly, our Big Lettuce is sacrificed, burning up to a crisp in a mountain of flames. We won't forget you, Lettuce. Thank you for your service. This noble sacrifice allows us to safely bring in our Toxtricity, who Dynamaxes into the biggest boss baby you've ever seen. After surviving another fiery onslaught from Charizard, we charge up a super effective Max Lightning and just fall short. However, after Leon heals, this time, our Max Lightning finishes the job, crushing Charizard in just one shot. With that, Leon was defeated, and we had beaten a Pokémon Nuzlocke without catching any Pokémon. Jump into this video next for more Pokémon content, and like the video to pay your respects to our fallen heroes. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.